the beauty of being Anduril is that
Can you talk about the fighter plane a little bit?
the idea is that you have a manned aircraft like an F-22 or an F-35.
So the Fury aircraft will be manned.
No, it's unmanned.
It's unmanned.
Yep.
But it'll have its own fleet of smaller
It is an
aircraft.
autonomous wingman to a manned aircraft.
Are we going all autonomous? Are humans becoming obsolete?
I don't know if you've read the book or seen the movie Ender's Game. It's a science fiction novel. And the idea is that there's this guy, Ender Wiggins, who is effectively controlling an entire alien battle from a bunker.
Do you have any fears about AI in the battle space? What are you most excited about at Anduril?
I think Fury, the collaborative combat aircraft program, kind of autonomous fighter planes, is a huge, force multiplier for the military. So really excited about what we're doing there. I guess all of the stuff that we're working on right now is really exciting. I think all the counter air programs are incredibly important, and you can see in all of the things that have happened from a global conflict perspective over the last 5 years or something are very driven by shooting down autonomous assets as being like the most important thing that you can do. And we've been leaning in really heavily on that as well. So I think there are a lot of challenges, and the beauty of being Anduril is that our value add is speed. And so, we want to be able to iterate quickly as we see the threats changing in the field.
Can you talk about the fighter plane a little bit, or
Yeah.
is that all?
Yeah, so it's called the collaborative combat aircraft. So the idea is that you have a manned aircraft like an F-22 or an F-35, and the pilot can basically command a bunch of smaller aircraft that fly around it to go and conduct different missions. So you extend sensor range, you extend shooter range. You basically can create a network around that manned aircraft to do the job at significantly lower cost and at no risk to human life. And this is a concept that has been batted around the Air Force for a long time. And we're really excited to be partnering with them on delivering that. And that will be the first things that we build out of the Arsenal factory in Ohio, as well as we'll start rolling the Fury aircraft off the line.
So the Fury aircraft will be manned.
No, it's unmanned.
It's unmanned.
Yep.
But it'll have its own fleet of smaller
It is an
aircraft.
autonomous wingman to a manned aircraft.
Okay, so that would be these are the autonomous aircraft around the manned aircraft.
That's right.
How many aircraft are we talking? How big is the fleet?
I mean, you could control a bunch of them. You could control, dozens, if that was the con-op that they wanted to choose. I don't know if you've read the book or seen the movie Ender's Game, but it's basically it's a science fiction novel. And the idea is that there's this guy, Ender Wiggins, who is effectively controlling an entire alien battle from a bunker. Where he's just there and he's giving commands, and the starfighters and stuff like that are all operating autonomously in the battle space. And he's like a conductor of an orchestra. You can kind of think about that as where we think that the next generation of autonomy is going, is that you're going to have orchestra conductors, and they'll be, sending these things out on missions to go and do things rather than, flying themselves directly into harm's way.
Man, that's interesting.
And you can imagine this in every domain. It's not just air, but you can imagine this on surface vessels, with submarines, with ground vehicles. Like, we're moving in that direction with these attritable assets.
I mean, what does the future of warfare look like for you? In your mind. I mean, how are we going all autonomous? Are humans becoming obsolete? I ask all of you guys this.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think humans are obsolete. Like, there's a human in the loop that is accountable for the decisions that are being made. One of the things that comes up frequently when you start talking about autonomy is this idea of full autonomy versus human in the loop autonomy, which is the idea that when you're about to make a lethal decision, there has to be a human that hits the button that says do it. But that hasn't been the case for decades already. There's CWIS, the close-in weapon system that is on naval vessels. It automatically engages with aerial threats to the naval surface vessels. there's no human directing the cannon as it's shooting at things and shoot them out of the sky. In fact, there can't be, because the entire challenge that it's facing is moving at superhuman speeds to eliminate threats. But there should be a human that's accountable for these decisions. There's someone somewhere that you're going to be able to shake a stick at and say, this robot did something that it shouldn't have done. And it's your responsibility to know what mission you've set the robot off to do. And so I think that we're really moving in the direction of more autonomy, that is engaging with fewer of these manned exquisite platforms that are very expensive. But there will be people that are making the decisions about how those missions are conducted, what strategies are utilized, and things like that.
How far out are you? How far out do you think we are from seeing the battlefield being 100% autonomous? Maybe there's decision makers. Well, there will be decision makers somewhere else, but I mean, how long do you think it is before the entire battlefield is autonomous?
Yeah, I mean, so much of this is probably driven by geopolitical realities rather than, hard technical realities. If we were to enter into like a major global conflict with a near peer foreign adversary, like we would probably try to accelerate to that much more quickly. But if we're kind of lulled into complacency by, the false narrative of stability, global stability, then we're not going to feel much of an incentive to move in that direction anytime soon. So I think it just really depends. The humanoid robotics, I think, are kind of the thing that comes up most when people think about the autonomous battlefield. It's like, are you going to have a bunch of Tesla Optimus robots running around with firearms shooting at each other? Like, I don't know, maybe on some timeline there could be something like that that's happening. But in the near term, I think it's like assisted, like by humans operating in theater, in the field.
Gotcha.
with robots in support.
Gotcha. I mean, do you have any fears about AI in the battle space?
I mean, look, humans make a lot of bad decisions.
Yes, they do.
Like, a super immature, 18-year-old with, 6 months of training is not necessarily going to make better decisions than a robot from an ethics perspective. And so, of course, like, I want these things to be conducted in the most just way possible. But humans they make bad decisions as well. Do I think that there's some imminent threat, like existential threat of, AI destroying human civilization? No, I don't think that's really on the near term horizon.
What kind of lessons are you guys learning from Ukraine, Russia?
Yeah, the airspace is probably the most interesting kind of foreshadowing of future conflict, because the Russians are doing a really good job of denying GPS and messing with communications signals. So you've seen like crazy tactics like the use of fiber optic cables to drones. I don't know if you've seen any of this.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, they're literally drones towing like, a mile of fiber optic cable so that they're wired and they can't be interfered with by the electronic warfare stuff. So there's a lot of back and forth, trying to keep ahead of your opponent in how you're approaching airspace. And I think that will be a huge part of getting this right in the future, is that we need our aircraft to have the ability to operate without comms connections. You can't rely on GPS. You can't rely on remote piloting. Like you need to actually be able to dead reckon or navigate optically by, landmarks on the ground and things like that. So that is a big challenge that everyone's working to figure out with high fidelity.
Do you guys have a lot of equipment going over there?
Yeah, I mean, we have stuff in country. It's a great kind of place for us to learn, and we obviously believe it's really important to supply equipment via the allies and partners that are doing work there with the Ukrainians.
Well, I mean, what does it feel like to see the equipment that you're building out there?
I mean, this is why we started the company.
Yeah.
The purpose is to be relevant and to be active. And I think part of that is building the engine for the United States, which is, the vast majority of our business is building that engine for them. But the U.S. government makes policy level decisions about where we send our equipment to be helpful to our partners abroad. And we're really honored to be part of that.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.